Hey, what's up, everybody? Damien G on behalf of Big Gold Belt Media. I just wanted to just say today's going to be a really interesting and fun day for me personally, because on today's show, myself and Two Chains have a very special guest who, at least to me, is one of my favorite personalities and people in professional wrestling. He's one of the people I met and I oddly befriended in a weird way on a random trip to Connecticut at a wrestling show, which I'll talk about. And I just wanted to have him on because he's one of the most cool people I've ever discussed anything outside of wrestling with, especially when it comes to video games and fighting games specifically, because Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that good stuff. But I just wanted to welcome Trever Aeon to our show. And Trev, it's really good to have you. I will admit, I remember I told you this a few weeks ago. It didn't dawn on me the connection of your name until you posted on Twitter, and I went, "How is my dumbass cool with you?" And did not know that was the origins of your name.
Most of the time, nobody actually really picks up on that until I say something.
Right.
It's very rare that somebody's like, "Oh, is that like Eon Flux?" Like it's not common. So don't feel bad. Like that does not happen.
Well, because I used to like the show, so it just never dawned on me. Because for me, whenever I think of Aeons or Eon, I think of Final Fantasy, the Aeon system and things like that.
Yeah.
So I thought when I first met you, I'm like, oh, maybe it's a Final Fantasy reference. No,
I didn't even think about that. It totally could have been a Final Fantasy reference.
Yeah. So for how did you come up with the name? Like, did you just watch an episode one day of Aeon Flux and just say that's it?
So that show was like a huge part of like my childhood. It changed the way I look at like art, cartoons. Like that show like messed with my head in like the best possible way, and I was so inspired by it that when I was getting into wrestling, I wanted to take things from the show and like incorporate it. But there's so much complicated stuff in the show that there wasn't really much I could take from it. Originally, I wanted to be Trever Goodchild because that's the name of the main antagonist in the show. Yeah. But I couldn't get in contact with Peter Chung to get permission to like merchandise the name. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a way to do a tribute to this thing that's like driving my creative energy in my head. But I'm just going to like make my own thing with inspiration from that, as opposed to just straight up, because I was just going to straight up take his name and be Trever Goodchild. And then it grew legs. Yeah. Like I drew up logos for it and everything. I was prepared. And when I just couldn't find a way to get in contact with the guy, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just find a way to like come up with something that's inspired by the show instead of just straight up taking it. But even like some of my moves are named after episodes.
I didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like my old finish was a DDT, and it was called the End Sinister. That's the very last episode of the show.
That is interesting.
That's meta. I like that.
Yeah, right. Meta. I was going to say, you don't want to be like my boy Dewan O'Neill, who was going by the Juggernaut, and he said one day Fox had a nice mail letter for him. Was like, oh, you're going to have to come up off that.
That's what I was worried about. That's exactly what I was worried about. I'm not trying to catch that. Nah, bro.
Like, wow.
Catch that cease and desist letter. Like, no.
Nope. I ain't trying to get involved with all them lawyers. No.
So I know you've been in the business 10 years, and I know we joke about it all the time. It just seems as if now, like, you're starting to get a better headway, and you don't even know sometimes how this is happening. But I kind of want you to walk me through those first 5 years in the business.
Oh man,
yeah. Because not a lot of people know the grind. They just know like, oh, I wrestled here. But like those first 5 years of starting out and just going through the process, can you walk people through that a little bit?
So like my first 5 years, I started training at the Underground School of Pro Wrestling in McDonough, Georgia with Micah and Tracy Taylor. Mm-hmm. They were like fresh out. I think they were like fresh out of WWE at the time. And we were training Monday through Thursday. And then he had us on shows. Like Micah really like worked hard for his trainees. So he had us booked like every weekend, 2-3 days a week. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. So I worked from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then I went to training from like 6 to like 8 or 9, and then I went to the gym, and then I went to sleep, and then I got up and did it all over again. And that my whole first 5 years was pretty much that. And to take it a step further, when we did shows, because all of our shows were really like in Alabama at the time, because we were working with GCW, Global Championship Wrestling, like exclusively. And I wouldn't take a booking outside of that until he gave me the okay. But when we got to the show, we would set up the ring, we would train for 2 hours, go eat, and then do the show. And we did that every weekend, every week for that whole it was definitely like almost the entire first 5 years, which it's looking back on it now, like it was hard, but like I was having so much fun that I really didn't think about it at the time. But it was pretty brutal.
So when people tell me about their training stories, especially getting accustomed to the ring in and of itself, what are some of those early, not to use the phrase bumps and bruises, but what are some of those that really like come to mind when you first started out?
So like I've been a wrestling fan since I was like 5 years old, but I really didn't know nothing. I just watched and I didn't think about it that hard. You like people are like smart marks now. I was never really like one of those guys. I had like people I liked and people I think should be champion and blah, 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 but I wasn't really a smart mark. Not like that. So I walked in, I was like, look, I don't know anything. I just watch. So this is all, whatever we're doing is going to be foreign to me because I was in boxing before that.
Oh,
and that's about it. And I took my first bump, and you know, people growing up a wrestling fan, you always hear, "Oh yeah, wrestling's fake," and they like beat you over the head with it. They find out you still watch it, and as soon as I hit the mat, I was like, "Man, y'all said this was fake. That hurt. What are you talking about?" And like I didn't kill myself, but I felt the shock absorb. Like, oh, okay, listen. That didn't feel good. Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, y'all said it was fake. And just the first 3-4 times I did it wrong, obviously. And I didn't do, like you normally, beginners, you do the squat down and you take the bump. I didn't do that. I stood straight up and just threw myself backwards because that's just how my personality is. and knocked the hell out of myself the first few times. Then I got used to it. And after I got used to it, then that part was easy to get through, and then just trying the muscle memory of learning how to do things and when to do things. Just some stuff came real easy. Like a lot of the striking and stuff came easy just because all I had to do was kind of take boxing and just adjust it a little bit. Like even if just changing like the direction I throw a punch made it easier to do punches and elbows and kicks and stuff in wrestling. And then the grappling, I had a whole lot of trouble with grappling at first, just learning which arm to grab and how to do it. It's funny now when I think about it because I do so much of it that I'm just like, man, you remember that first 3 months where you couldn't like do wrist lock right?
Oh man. It's something about the country people, man. You just it's that country strong mentality is a legit.
you just be like, I'm gonna just do it and hope it comes out right.
I was going to ask you before we even got into the wrestling a little bit. Yes, we know that you know, with the pandemic, people haven't been working shows and so on. Obviously, we know you're a nerd. A word that I want to throw out there because I think it's really important. I wear it on my shoulder where I go is a black nerd. And I just know, you know, with that being said, you know, how have you been spending your time considering you're part of that culture?
So not being able to go out because I normally go out a lot, especially in Atlanta, because being part of the Goth scene here, we have parties, we have concerts, and I was always out at that stuff. And then you're trapped in the house and you're just like, man, what do you do? Because I ain't been trapped in the house in a long time. So not like this. But it's funny because one of the things that like me and my wife bonded over was video games. She's a big gamer. And I was kind of out of video games because I didn't have a system. So I hadn't been, and I wasn't at home, so I wasn't really playing like that. And she started buying games and we started playing stuff together. And then I just got sucked into that. So that's kind of what we've been doing. Like after like working out or whatever, we cook, and we have in between watching horror movies, we have video games that we've been playing together a lot. Like we played Diablo 3 into the ground. So much so that we don't even want to play it at this point.
I definitely about to ask what are your current plays right now? So Diablo 3, what else?
We played Divinity 2 Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2 a lot, and we stopped because we did everything, and then we just found out yesterday they released a patch.
Yeah,
all this new stuff. So yeah, we're doing that again. I got back into fighting games since we got a PS4. So I've been playing. What did I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 again.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing that since I think it was 2 years ago I bought it again. So I've been playing that again. I got the most recent King of Fighters. I got Mortal Kombat. I got Dragon Ball FighterZ, and it's bad too because I have to split time between all these fighting games, so I can't get good at any of them.
Man, listen, I got FighterZ as well. And it's just like the moment when I just want to get back on the grind, it takes like a few online matches. Like, I'm just not cut from the same cloth, man. I used to have like endless hours, and it just isn't there.
I know, and it was crazy. It's like I used to be like when I was in high school, we was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
That's it. The GOAT.
Capcom versus SNK 2.
The GOAT there.
I think like Soul Calibur 2 or 3, and we was playing them like in Smash Brothers Melee, and we were playing them so much that like I was so good at those games that I was considering like trying to play them professionally.
Yeah,
like I felt that good about what I was doing. And we was going to arcades like destroying people. We was inviting people to like one friend's house and getting everybody on Smash Bros. And just ripping people apart. And I was like, okay, I'm too good at this game. I should try to make money off this.
Yeah,
and then over the years, it just kind of gets away from you. And I'm thinking I can just pick it back up and be good again. And I'm just like, no, I ain't that good anymore. I don't know what happened.
Online matches will humble you real quick if you've been out the game for a while.
Real quick. You know what else will humble you? I was gonna say I shed a man tear when my hand started cramping. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the worst. In the middle of it too. You're like, I'm gonna do this. Oh, my thumb. Bad.
I was just with my god kids last weekend, and they know I'm really good at Killer Instinct. And every time I'm over there, also they want me to play, and they was like, "Yeah, we want to see you beat it on hard." And I was like, "All right." And then like I just felt halfway through the game, I was like, my hand is hurting, but they're not gonna understand this. And now all they're doing is watching DC Young Fly on Twitter or on YouTube. So now all they want to do is talk like Joan and talk about people. I'm just like, so if I lose now I gotta hear their mouth for like the next hour. I was just like, adulting, man, adulting. Yeah, but you know, they're gonna always. Fighting games always gonna be a little bit a part of us, no matter what.
You once you get sucked into that, I don't feel like I'm part of the fighting game community, but I still feel like I'm part of the fighting game community. Like it just you never, especially if you came up when you used to have to go to the arcade,
sit the quarter,
people,
sit the quarter on there, establish your area.
Them tournaments cost money back then. Like you lost 50 cents.
You ain't lying. I was gonna say, even when I see tournaments, I still just got an eye out. Like, man,
y'all don't know.
I was gonna say, have you ever been in one of those Blockbuster video tournaments back in the day? Where like, I used to hate those damn things because you think you're good, and then you go into Blockbuster. Nope.
And that was before I was like good. So when I thought I was good, I'm getting on there. Man, I'm gonna kill this dude. I got a Kuma. I'm gonna destroy him. Street Fighter Altitude. And then this dude
that's the GOAT. That is the GOAT right there. For real.
Piece you up with no hits.
Yeah.
It's just sad as hell.
You just walk off all like dejected and sad.
I swear, you know what? I don't even want to play no more.
I swear, talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I swear we can talk about this forever. But I swear I was talking about Marvel Capcom 2. I had the same idea. I was like, oh, I got my man Gao, I had Morgan, and I had who else was my third person? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I never forget I played in a tournament, and this guy ran it with Magneto. Couldn't even tell you who his other people were. But just seeing how I was unable to ever get on offense, I was just like, all that psych pump. You got your boys with you,
Nope.
and it's just you get there and you get humbled real quick.
And then especially with like Magneto and like Storm and the motherfuckers that do them infinites.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
The whole game turned into a race to see who could start an infinite first, and whoever got the infinite off, you're done.
That's it.
Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
That was so frustrating. Like, to the point where you didn't want to play it because you're just like, it ain't really a game of skill.
It's not fun anymore.
It's just a game of It's whoever pulls off this stupid one thing that you do over and over and over again that I can't recover from. Yeah, it was really annoying.
Yeah, and by the way, whoever's watching it, somebody gonna be in the comments talking about, man, I felt that because it's true, and it's the same thing now on Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Vegito got an infinite too, and I'm just like, see, this is what happens, man. These the youth, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
They got time.
I was brave when I got that game too. I was like, man, I'm gonna jump online. I could probably. It's like Dragon Ball Fighter Z really feels like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with Dragon Ball Z characters. Yeah. So I'm like, I could play this. I could get it. I jumped on that. I played one match. I was like, nah, bro.
and I was a huge Guilty Gear fan. So like, it came together all perfect for me. My favorite anime, one of my favorite games. I was like, the same mechanics. I was like, I need that. And they needed it. All right, they needed me to stay far away from it.
It's like, nope, I wasn't ready. I'm gonna just play this by myself and enjoy the art and stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Well, same thing happened with Mortal Kombat. Like I swore I was good. I swore I was good at Mortal Kombat until I tried to play somebody.
That's the worst part. When that's where I'm put my head in the pillow tonight for this one.
I gave up on X. Once I got housed in Mortal Kombat X, I put it away. I said, all right, we're done. Some little probably like 9-year-old probably whooped my ass. I'm like, I'm good. Walk away. Just walk. Yeah. I'm gonna watch playthroughs from now on. Let's go.
If you watch some of those like top tier matches of people, those people feel it's like they're doing stuff the game can't even do.
Right.
Like,
and they're getting mad because it's like, oh, that frame dropped. I'm like, you're telling me the game mechanics isn't working for you. Oh, okay.
Like, and it makes me even sadder because I'm like, man, I remember when I was like that. And now I can't even access part of my brain anymore.
Oh man. On a brighter note, I did beat Final Fantasy X not too long during this quarantine. So I felt like there's a little bit of a small victory. No, it's not a fighting game, but we brought up Final Fantasy earlier in there.
Was it the remaster?
Yes.
Okay.
But that game is hard. So, and it's long.
It's long. It's too long.
Like you might not have the energy to just sit there and play that game for that much time to actually finish it.
I would just reach over my back, but like, I went OG and I ordered like the strategy guide because, like, you know
what? I'm this close to doing that for Blasphemous because I just got that too, and I love like the Metroidvania games, and Blasphemous is hard, like hard. I thought Metroid and Castlevania had some difficulty. Blasphemous on something else.
Yeah,
like spike pits everywhere.
Is it harder than Dark Souls?
It might not be that bad.
Okay, because I'm like, Dark Souls is where everybody goes to die eventually. It's like, no. First boss. I
played that at Walmart, and I was like, "What am I doing? This is a bad idea." I didn't even just. I before I knew it, I was standing there 35 minutes doing this, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is wrong."
Yeah,
this game is supposed to be. It's like it's worse than Ninja Gaiden on Xbox. Oh man,
I forgot about that. Yeah. I sat that down quick.
Yeah.
I sat that down real quick.
I don't know what they was doing. And they was just like, we just gonna make this impossible to beat.
Yep. I don't think they did either.
Tecmo.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you'll see a speed run where they get done in like 5-10 minutes without an assist. And
I refuse to watch any of that stuff. I saw somebody speed run Contra, and I was like, nah, this is witchcraft right here.
I don't understand. I saw somebody do it on Metal Slug.
Oh, come on now.
Like Metal Slug has got to be one of the hardest games I've ever played. I love that series, but it's just
ridiculous.
Like you want to throw your controller through the TV with all the stuff flying at you on screen, and you die in one hit. Like, come on, man. Contra on steroids. So
that's why I never liked those. It's like, you really gonna put the quarter munchers in there just so you could die getting breathed on by an enemy? It's like, really?
I mean, Cuphead is the same way. It's
Yeah,
the same thing.
that's true too.
Except you got 3 hit points, but it don't mean nothing. Like the first level, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good at shooters. Yeah, thought I was.
That's how I feel about certain RPGs where I'm like, yeah, I don't need to grind. I can do this on like level 24. It's like, nope.
No,
you gotta go grind now. And I hate grinding. So
yeah, it's time consuming and boring. Like, yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm glad. See, you understand. Like the three of us have been through the wars of gaming, and it's now I feel like we're getting to that point where we might have to let the youngins just have it. And we're gonna go back to our, Generation 2 games and just mess around with those. Because I kid y'all not, I still haven't beat the original Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I don't think I'm ever gonna go back and beat it. I don't want to.
You know how hard that game was? Like that game was a pain. Even like the new Streets of Rage is actually pretty difficult. Like
I've seen.
I was surprised at how I was like. When I don't remember Streets of Rage being this hard, but now that I'm playing it, I'm like, yeah, Streets of Rage has always been like this. And then all the newer games have dodge buttons and stuff. Streets of Rage ain't got that. Like you got to figure out where to put yourself. Just we spoiled. We spoiled.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no roll. What?
Right, I was gonna say there's no roll option.
When you think about it, none of them games had that. Final Fight ain't have it.
That's true.
Even like Fighting Force on PS1 didn't have like a dodge move.
Nope.
That's a new thing.
It's like dodging in a street fight. How dare you? We don't do that.
What are you doing?
So now that you're back in gaming, no part because of your wife, so does she kind of look at you now and say, this was my thing. When did you come? Like, why are you back here now?
I consider her like I'm basically a casual gamer now. She's a real gamer. Like she even like PC games.
She has Twitch, right?
She plays. I don't think so. At least not yet.
Okay.
She probably will soon at some point.
Make that money.
But, right? For real. She's way more hardcore than I am. Like we were playing Borderlands and I was just like, she's a beast. I'm just trying to shoot like this one dude in the corner, and she's like murdering the entire screen.
And then you're sitting there like, "Yep, you're my wife, and I love you." Okay.
And then I get the hard eyes because I'm just like, I'm so proud. You're so good.
You know what? That's something I can say. Like following you both on social media, you are the one of the most wholesome couples. Like on social media, it's like you guys just oogle each other all the time, and it's awesome.
That like I'm super private about most things. I will never be private about how much I love that woman, like at all. Like I don't want her to ever think that there's less, or anybody else to think that like I don't want anyone to ever think that that's not what's going on. I praise her like crazy in public at all times. I really feel like that. Like so, that's one of those things I don't feel necessary to not show.
Right. How do you feel being married now?
About the same. Like I feel like I've been married to her since we met. So it's like we didn't really do anything but like legalize the thing we were already doing.
Right. How did y'all meet?
It's funny to me because I never said I was never gonna get married, and now here I am. And I'm married. So
it's always the ones that say we're never gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be my dad and be like 80 and he's not officially married technically. So my parents are still together, but he's 80. Yeah.
That's definitely where my path was going. And you meet the right person and they pull you off that path and say, hey, this path is better. And now I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Show you right. How did you meet? I'm sorry.
Now, what's really funny is that we actually met at a wrestling show.
Okay.
My very first Wrestlers Lab appearance was kind of like the catalyst for that. Yeah, so the second time I came up there with 13th Floor and we did a thing where we came out and like attacked Mr. Grimm.
I remember that. I was there. Mm-hmm.
That was the night we actually met.
Oh, I didn't know it was that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And what happened was she saw like I think she like followed me on Instagram or something. and was like, "Hey, you're a wrestler. That's pretty cool. If you ever wrestle in New York, let me know." And I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, "Yeah, that's fine. It'll be another person at the show that came to see me. Great." So when I was booked for that show, I told her I was coming. And I'm thinking she ain't really gonna come to the show because your friends always say, "Hey, I'll come to your show," and they never do. Well, she actually came, and I was moved that she came. So I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna like just leave when you drove here to see me perform. So we may as well just hang out for a little while." And that turned into a marriage.
Dang.
And it's because I was not even thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about like dating or anything when that happened, but when you feel something, you just don't. I'm not the kind of person that'll be like, "Hey, I feel like this is a good thing. I should probably run away." Like that's just not how I am. If I feel something's right, I'm just go into it.
Right.
Sometimes that gets you burned. Sometimes it doesn't.
Has it ever gotten you burned in situations like that?
Oh boy, yes. Oh yeah.
And I'm not making a firefighter joke, by the way.
Oh yeah. But we there has been times where it's like, where I feel like this is the right thing to do, and then you do it, and you're like, "Man, I wish I hadn't done this."
Sorry,
So
we missed most of that because the background noise. Can you say that again?
Like just since I'm a like follow your feelings kind of person, sometimes you follow your feelings and they lead you down a dark alley. So
Literally.
yeah, it doesn't always work out. I'm glad it did this time, but it doesn't always work out.
I know one thing that did work out for you was going to Japan, and we've talked about it. You've talked about
God.
how much you love it. So you see, right now, if anyone's watching, you can see how the smile just got really wide. Just walk everybody through that whole process of how they came to find you, when they presented you the opportunity, and then your time there.
So the school, one of the wrestling schools in Georgia, it was called One Fall Power Factory at the time. It's called the Nightmare Factory now because I think Cody Rhodes took over it. So when they originally opened that school, I was like one of the first people to go there and just go to the open house and meet QT Marshall and just like train with him or whatever. And I was gonna keep going there, but then I moved to New York, and I was in town to do a show. And this is at the height of like I've been wrestling a while, and I'm bitter because I'm not getting the opportunities I feel like I should be getting. And I was like all mad. And I saw this thing for that school where it's like, "Hey, we're doing a tryout with the Great Muda's company, Wrestle One in Japan. If you do well, then you get to spend a week in Japan training and wrestling and stuff." And I'm like, okay, I've done so many seminars and so many like camps that say stuff like that I'm just like, all right, whatever. But I was in town and I didn't really have an excuse not to do it. And I was like, worst thing that could happen is they don't pick me to go to Japan and I just make some contacts or whatever. Well, I go and do the tryout and not thinking that, okay, I'm going to this school, so I'm going to be surrounded by the students of this school. And like, I'm in their home space doing a tryout. So this is definitely not going to work out for me. And when I tell you, so we do the practice matches, we do the drills or whatever. And I looked out that like a lot of the stuff that they showed us was stuff that my trainer showed me before because he spent a lot of time in 0-1. So he trained us like we were in 0-1.
Okay.
And because of that, it made me like, I felt way more equipped for it than I probably would have had he not trained me the way he did. And so we do our practice match, and I felt good about the practice match because huge chip on my shoulder. So I was just like, that was a good practice match. I felt really good about that. It's not going to amount to anything, but I felt good about it. And I see Kaz Hayashi and Sonny Ono like talking and looking at me, and I don't know what they're saying or anything because I can't hear them because they're whispering. And I'm just like, I mean, I hope that's good. I hope they're not like dumping on me. And then when it's over, they called me first, and I'm like, oh wait, I got picked. What is this? Like I didn't know how to react because I'm so used to doing those things and nothing coming of it that I didn't even know how to like be happy about the fact that, hey man, do you realize that you're going to Japan? Like, This is a huge deal. And I had from June to October to like physically and mentally prepare. So at that, when I came home from that, I was training like twice a day. I was popping in and out of Creative Pro to get ring time.
Mhm.
Like I was probably working out harder than I ever have. And now that I set that precedent, I hadn't stopped doing that. I'm probably gonna break myself at some point. But we they had like evaluation sheets for us, and they showed us like the evaluation sheets, and my evaluation sheet was almost perfect. And I'm just like, so this whole time, you know, American wrestling, like having trouble getting booked, like having trouble getting like the kind of matches you need to really get seen. Meanwhile, representatives from a foreign country, the foreign country when it comes to wrestling, and they're telling me like, no, you're really good at this, and I'm like, okay, I should be really excited. Because there ain't enough self-deprecation in the world that can like deny what's in front of you.
Yeah.
People that you do like pro wrestling. You're good at this. From then on, like winded and dying when I get over there. Because the first thing we did when we got there was a ton of squats.
Of course.
Like, I got off the plane, I made it to the dojo, and the first thing we did was train. As soon as I got there, it was straight to training. And now, luckily for me, I've been doing 400 squats for the start of my training since like 2013. So that wasn't new. It hurts, but it wasn't new. I was well prepared for it. And from there, it was a lot of like, we trained in the ring a lot. We did a lot of like running and a lot of squats and a lot of push-ups. We also did training on like jiu-jitsu mats, which is great because I was really excited about that because they don't make you do that in America, and I wish they would make everyone like learn that because it make like it doesn't seem like it, but it makes you, even if you're just a big character guy, it makes your wrestling better to know that stuff. And we roamed Japan a whole lot. We walked around so much because that Tuesday we trained and then we had practice matches, and those matches determined like if they were going to use us on their shows or not. And we all ended up getting used on the shows, which I thought was great. So the first show, I can't remember the name of the building. I wish I could because it drives me crazy. But we do the first show, and they're like, if this show goes well, then we're going to put you guys on the Cork and Hall show the next day. And I'm like, I never thought I would see Cork and Hall in real life, especially considering like all this time people have been telling me I ain't really that good at wrestling. So I'm like, I'm not a name. I am not like popular, and there aren't a bunch of people like vouching for me. Right. So the fact that I'm even in Japan at all is some kind of miracle. And now you're telling me like I'm about to go to a legendary venue that I never thought I would see. And of course, it ended up working out. Like we all had great matches that Tuesday. We all got put on the Cork and Hall show. So I was losing my mind the whole time because I'm just like, man, I was just watching the show in this building, and now I'm like physically here. What is going on? Like I still ain't really like. That was last October, and I still ain't really processed it. I look at pictures like, man, that really happened. Yeah, okay. I had a absolutely amazing time. If not for this, I was already like trying to make plans to go back before I even got back to the States. But then the virus happened, and everything got shut down, and all whatever plans or anything I had cooking up all got like had to get washed because we don't know when we'll be able to do what.
Is that one of the things you missed the most about just being able to do your craft since COVID happened?
Yeah, because when I was over there, like we ate, sleep, and breathe wrestling. Like that was it. And I tell people all the time because they're always like, "Oh, you're in such good shape," and I'm like, "No, I'm in good shape for somebody who has other obligations." If all I did, listen, if all I did was wrestle, if that was the one thing I did, I wouldn't be human. I'd be jumping over buildings. I'd be flipping cars. Like,
yeah.
I always wonder if people understand like how serious I really take this. And this is like, to me, this is like half-assed compared to what I really want to do, but I can't because I have to like meet certain needs like outside of wrestling. But if not, let the day come where all I do is wrestle. When I'm like stacking 3 people on my shoulders, you'll know why.
When you were go ahead, 2 Chains. Sorry.
No, yeah, I was going to ask because we're on the top of wrestling, how plans are next and everything. I do see that you do have a match, your first match back this year, June 27th, which is going to be in Chattanooga, TWE, and you're facing one of my favorite people, period, and Rob Killjoy. That's going to be a match for sure. But outside of the match, what is that feeling like going back into your first match, considering the world's been on timeout? Like, and obviously we've been, consuming it on TV, and there's that mystique to it. But now you're actually going back into it. Like, what's kind of been going on through your mind on that note?
I'm super excited. I went back to training like about a month ago, so I've been in training anyway. So I've been getting prepared for the day where we can like wrestle again. But I didn't know it was gonna be as soon as it is. That's why when TWU was like, "Hey, we're gonna do the 27th," I was like, "All right, bet."
You're like 27th of what?
Yeah, I'm thinking
here we
like
go.
They mean July.
Yeah, right.
June, but I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm just this like obviously there's a little concern because COVID's out there, but my concerns are kind of like pushed to the back burner over the excitement of not only like having my first match back, but having it with like Rob Killjoy.
Yeah,
I've been in like multi-mans with him, but I've never actually wrestled him one-on-one.
I was just gonna say that's a treat to get him out of the stable for a little bit, because they they roll in the pack as advertised. But as a one-on-one, this is definitely going to be interesting for sure. Do you question the booking tactics a little different considering everything? Do you question like, hey, is this too early? How you guys going to handle fans? Any of that stuff? Is business done differently on the independent scenes?
I'm wondering. I am under the impression that they have plans in place, or they have an idea about what they want to do. And I'm not gonna try to tell somebody how to like run their company or how to like do stuff that I myself don't even know how to do.
Right. But
I'm hoping that they will definitely have things in place for it to be done safely. I myself, I got masks, I got hand sanitizer.
Right.
Like, I will be driving there with the mask on and leaving with the mask on. Sanitizing the hell out of everything, sanitizing the ring, just like we do at training.
Right.
We completely spray and wipe down the entire ring and everything before we leave.
Yeah.
We don't touch anything when we get there until we wash our hands. Like, it's just a whole. So I'm assuming that the shows will be like that too, which is also why I'm really. I was already being picky about the shows I was working anyway. But especially with extra safety precautions, I was being like extra picky. That's why I was like, TWE, okay, but just there's a bunch of other shows that were like, hey, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, nah.
Right.
I'm gonna hold off on that.
So if I understand correctly, because you've already been back to training, so you're not completely going into the dark about like the precautions of going into a wrestling environment. So that's one.
Yeah.
And then obviously the notoriety of the promotions is the second layer of kind of like trust going into it. Like, hey, I know this one. I know they got reputable people. Obviously, other reputable talent is coming to the show. So there's an extra layer of like comfort saying, okay, I know what I need to do. I know what to do in this environment. I trust this brand. So it's not, as fans, we can kind of say like, okay, cool. This doesn't seem like a risky whole thing, but you guys are actually, Okay. Yeah. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see you get back in the ring. I cannot believe we have been about almost 40 minutes into the show. We have not mentioned Battle Club at all.
Nope.
Oh
Battle, Battle Club is family, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my first Battle Club shows, meeting you there, and it was just one, as always, when I see a person that looks like me, regardless, it's just like that. Yeah, it's just like
yep. Every
love the gimmick. You and your wife are, you know, and it was weird because the gimmick is so perfectly crafted, and then you're just the nicest guy, and I'm just like, and it's like the one timer. It's just like I want him to be full gimmick, but I was like, I fuck with this guy. That's my guy right here. So, you know, about Battle Club, like. What does it mean being part of the Battle Club family? Not working for the promotion, because that's not true, but you being a staple and a figure and part of the family Battle Club. What has it meant to you?
See, that's a huge deal for me, especially for a show like that, because we have shows like that here, like PWX in North Carolina, and like some other shows that are kind of like a Battle Club, and them shows just will not give me the time of day. So for a Battle Club to like invite me in and like use me regularly and treat me like somebody they kind of want to do something with, it's a big deal to me. So that's why I like make priority to be at the show anytime that if something's coming up, if it's big or small, I don't care. Like I try to make sure that if I'm in the area, I'm there, because it's not my show, but it feels like my show. You know how you feel like you're part of the family, so now it's your show too. So you gotta take care of it. Yeah.
I was just saying, if you're not there, then it's obviously notable. Like, hey, he's not here. You know, so like you're definitely, like I said, the staple of the family for sure. I love Battle Club.
I think that's pretty cool that if people notice I'm not there, I think that's pretty cool.
People will notice when you're not there. It's like, wait, whoa. I thought Trever was supposed to be here. You know, and you know, especially like with Wrestlers Lab starting up again, you know, you were supposed to be on that show as well. And that's why I first saw you. And I remember a match you had with Mr. Grimm, and, you know, for the title unification match. And I was saying it off air, bro. Like I'm saying it off air. Y'all beat the holy hell out of each other. And just, you know, just seeing the two of you just go at it, you know, can you just explain to the audience who haven't seen that match why they should, for one, and just your feelings on working with someone like that?
So that match, like we never, I don't think we hadn't had a one-on-one before that, and the way we were like booked in Wrestlers Lab was the same but not. Like I was portrayed as a threat but not as big a threat as him, and I feel like eventually that match was gonna have to happen.
Right.
And I also didn't have I think he's like undefeated there or something. And I don't have the same record there. So I was like, I gotta find a way to really like make this match seem like I'm part of it and I'm not just another guy who's just about to get smashed. And that's where like the physicality came in. That's like where the attitude came in and everything. I was just like, look, this match I need to make sure these people know that from here on out, even if you win this match, that I am not to be messed with, period. So anybody else that comes here, even if you go to him, I'm lurking somewhere and I'm just as bad. So that was my aim. Like kind of like a what's a good analogy? It's kind of like a John Cena Randy Orton thing where they're kind of like on the same level but different.
Yeah, right.
I was just trying to make sure at the end of that match people knew that I was his equal. Yeah. And that the match could go either way. And I think that just because of how physical it was, I think that's what a lot of people were just like, you guys are trying to kill each other. And I'm like, well, if that's how you feel, then I think I did my job. That's still like that was probably my favorite match I had that year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, unfortunately for everybody else, now all my matches are like that. So now people are like, I gotta wrestle him.
Well, because you put so many Goth Plex GIFs online, and then you show the videos of your Goth Plex, and it's like, yeah, they don't want to take that, because if you haven't seen Trevor's Goth Plex, I've told him personally, and I tell people all the time, the snap on that dang suplex is for me, watching at home is painful to watch. I can only imagine someone taking it. It's like, oh, ooh. So because it's very reminiscent of Shawn Michaels' early finisher when he first did
the teardrop suplex.
The teardrop suplex.
Yeah.
So where did the Goth Plex originate from? Because I think we all pretty much know the reason why the name is there, but where did the wanting to do that move originate from?
So I was watching, I can't remember what match it was. It was a match from, I want to say it was All Japan.
Okay.
And someone did a Saito suplex, but he didn't, like, he picked the guy up and he hit it. And I was like, is there a way I could do that really fast? So I went to training like a few days after that. Like, hey, I'm trying to work on this Saito suplex, and I want to kind of do it different. And I think I just went under and waist locked the guy and snapped backwards. And the speed on it was the part that got me. I was like, man, that's really fast. Like, I wonder how that would look on camera. And I watched it like 7 times, and I just thought about it over and over again. And I kept looking at it, and I finally did it on the show. And when I did it, the whole crowd, like, collectively was like, "Oh God!" And I was just like, "Oh, we got one." And it's been that ever since. But I practiced it over and over again, how I wanted to do it. I did it a bunch of different ways, and the way that I'm doing it now is what's stuck, because it's the fastest, most vicious looking way to do it from all the different ways I practiced it, and that's why I kept it. So I never use any of the other ones.
I was going to ask you, has anyone come to you and say, "Hey, like, take it easy on me when we do the Goth Plex"? Or
no, not yet, at least.
Because if you watch it online, look, I know we're laughing about it, but if you look online and you watch the speed in which Trevor's talking about, I would be kind of remiss to say I might want to protect myself a little bit more on this move here, because the veracity is just, damn, man, like, don't kill it, man.
It's like a momentum changer. Like, once that thing comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. Obviously, seen it in person, and yeah, exclamation point is the easiest way to just kind of put that.
And it's funny because, like, I've done it on people of every size at this point, and nothing changes. Like, I did it on a fucking 7-foot guy, same thing. I did it on a dude smaller than me, same thing. I almost feel like it's worse for the dudes that are smaller than me, because they hit the ground and then they keep going. Like, the big dude just hits the ground and kind of rolls over. Everybody else just go flying across the ring.
I'm picturing in my mind you doing it to Marco Stunt at some point in your career. I'm waiting for the day in which you do that to Marco Stunt.
I'll be for it.
And I was like,
they keep hearing my name. They gotta, like, I don't know. They gotta look into me eventually, I would think. People are tweeting them a lot more. Like, hey, y'all know about this Trever Aeon dude? Y'all ever heard of him? Hey. I'm just like, well, if y'all keep doing that, eventually they're gonna listen to you. I hope.
Well, you mentioned, having kind of a chip on your shoulder through all these years. Like, how does that feel now, seeing that there's this public outswell of support for you when you've had this chip on your shoulder? Like, what you talking about? I can't wrestle. I can wrestle. And now other people see it too, what you now have been saying. Like, how does that feel for you?
You know what? Like, I just kind of feel validated. And the first time I felt validated was when the Japan thing happened. Because I was like, okay, nobody can tell me nothing now. Like, look, there's no way I can go into somebody else's school and do a camp for something this big and get picked if I'm terrible. So either they're wrong or you're wrong. And I'm just like, I'm more inclined to listen to Kazuhashi and Sonny Ono than all these random folks who have whatever issue they have with what I do. And now that I guess I kind of found my audience, because I've kind of always been the same character. Just it's been evolving in a lot of different ways, and a lot of people I didn't know that, like, even if we just talk about the goth scene, I didn't know that goths like pro wrestling. I had no idea. Like, I go to concerts and events with these people all the time, and no idea that wrestling was the thing they like, but they do. They just don't have people in wrestling who are a part of what they're a part of. And I'm not like an Undertaker where I'm a dark character, but that ain't really who I am. Like, you will see me at the club, you will see me at the concert. I'm really part of this. This isn't a character.
Yeah.
Like, how I dress at wrestling is how I go out.
Yeah.
So it's very much the real me. And I guess those people kind of finally found me after however long it's been. I've just been, hey, I'm here. What's going on?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. Do you feel like a bit of a standard bearer now that you know that the goth scene likes professional wrestling? So you're kind of like their pillar?
Yeah, like it's now like feel like I can't let them down because I'm just like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm some like crappy poser out here making us all look bad. But and if that makes people who don't normally like really watch wrestling and watch wrestling, I feel like I'm doing what kind of the end goal is really to do, is to bring people into wrestling who don't even normally watch wrestling. Like, that's a big deal to me. Because I have friends like in Atlanta that they weren't wrestling fans or anything until they came and saw a match that I was in. And they're like, well, we didn't know this was so cool. And I'm just like, yeah, you should come to more shows.
It's like, now you know.
But if you think about it, and I say like, hey, look, if that happens on a small scale, imagine what will happen if you like put me somewhere where a whole lot of those people could see me. It might be worth something. I could be wrong. It could be nothing. And they're just like, yay. But
no, it's not. Again, you're a part of the community, and it's the same reason why certain wrestlers go with the gimmick of posing as superheroes, because they know there is a whole cosplay community out there that they can niche to. Johnny Gargano, he inspires his outfits with it, but he never portrays to be a superhero because he knows the lifestyle he's in. Where the other one, they're just like, hey, we need to make this person to look like this so we can bring in that audience. It's absolutely there. And much like you said, like, maybe within your community, they wasn't aware of what wrestling is, but it's exactly what it is. It's theatrical performance. Everybody grew up loving characters of some sort and development and storylines and however else you want to kind of remix it. It's just a combination of all of it. Yet alone, you can actually see some of these people within arm reach and then grow to the highest platform. Somebody at some point, I don't think there's nobody I can't convince to take a look at it. Like it's a little bit of something for somebody always. So
it's true.
And you're right. I would love that too. Always seeing somebody that looks like me, but yet being a token in your community, the sky's the limit. And the talent is there. Like you said, if you're getting taken out to Japan, can't nobody tell you anything.
Right. Can't tell nobody nothing. No.
And look, at the end of the day, every time anybody is listed by their accolades, the first thing they say is that this person toured Japan, like no matter what. So, oh man, I think we just lost it for a second. But nonetheless, that's just that just really is validation in someone's career. Is definitely touring Japan. So to see if we can get them back in, then we can get ready to wrap it up. I know we're getting close on our time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, for any of us in any walk of life, if we're being paid to leave the country to do our trade, that's an ego boost for one, and for two, it's I told y'all kind of moment. You just be able to say, all you doubters, everyone who hated and doubted, now you know.
Yeah,
and I feel for him. He speaks fondly on his trip to Japan and everything he learned and being able to, like he said, to be in Korakuen Hall. That's why he can't wait to get back. So I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for his opportunities, and I can't wait to see more of him. And I think everybody else in the mama needs to see more of him.
Yeah, right now it may be one of the best kept secrets right now in independent wrestling, and I think he navigates his life in a way where he says, like, I keep a lot of my stuff private, but the work is there.
Right.
And now that more opportunities are coming and able to give people platforms and showcases to do what they do best. 10 years in the game, and I think he's just getting started. So I to not have seen him work, to the first time I seen him work, I was thoroughly impressed, and I was just like, the dude got it. Like, the dude got it flat out. And that's the other thing I like about Battle Club too. I would go there and there would be somebody I wouldn't know, and I was just like, I expect to go to an indie show and somebody not to be good. Right. And it's always somebody on the roster to just take an eye at to say, like, look, and again, since the first time seeing it, I was like, oh, this is the person, much like I like independent wrestling. You go in not knowing, you leave talking about, and that's just exactly what it is here. Well, we might have lost them, but we did get all our questions in, so maybe we wrap the interview up and seal the deal.
I think we can wrap it up here, and down the road, if he wants to kind of rehash some other things that we didn't touch on, we can have a part 2 to this if that's something that he's comfortable with. Right on. On behalf of everyone here, Trevor, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody on Big Gold Belt Media, we'll get ready now to do our regularly scheduled show with the rest of the group. And thank you again. You can always find us at BGB Group on Twitter, myself at DamonG347, Trever Aeon, I believe, and let me double check that now.
No worry, I got you right here. And you can follow him right on Twitter at Trever Aeon.
There you go.
Right there on the bottom. Leads you to all his other social medias, and definitely can keep up with all his latest updates, events, and so on.
Yep, and we'll check you next time.
Peace out, people. Thank you for listening.